I'm putting a notice saying that we are live.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Hi. Hello, my friend. I'm so happy that you're with me today. And what a blessing. What a blessing. And hello, everyone. I am here with Diana Ratsamee, and it is my holy privilege and honor to be with you. And you are a healer and an extraordinary teacher, and you are also a racial equity advocate. And you are also working in health and well-being at the University of Washington, doing work with the whole you around wellness and health. And so I welcome you, and it's just such a privilege and honor to have you with me today. And I would like to open with a prayer, Diana. If would you like to join me in that?
Absolutely. I'd be honored.
Thank you. And so, great mystery, creator, creatrix, I thank you for this human being in the world, and I'm humbled by her sacred work and her gifts. And I ask, Creator, that you will guide our talk today. And I ask the spirits of land and place for your help. And I ask that you will give us eloquence so that our hearts may hear one another and that other hearts may hear our voices. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be together. Aho, amen.
Aho, amen. Oh, beautiful prayer. Thank you, sweet friend.
Oh. And so I mean, we were talking earlier in the week, and I know we had wanted to speak a little bit about sound and the healing power of sound and music, but also wanted to speak to some equity work that you're doing, and the work of true wellness, true community wellness and health and healing. And so, but there, I have this first question that I really like to ask, if it's okay with you. I want to begin with my first question, which is, what does real medicine mean to you? Like, what do you think about when you think about real medicine?
And I absolutely love this question when you ask it. It's to me, medicine is that which heals the spirit.
Mm.
It is that which heals the spirit, the heart, the mind, and body from the wounds that have been inflicted upon us by ourselves or the world around us.
Mm.
It comes in so many forms. Like I had a moment to just thinking about this. Medicine is not just what you eat; it's what you consume. And there's so many different mediums to consume, right? What we consume with our eyes, with our ears, with our energy, with our bodies. We're feeling this so much more, especially today, especially now,
Mm-hmm.
in the times that we're in, and in the state of this world, that health is so much more beyond, and medicine is so much more beyond than just what we put into our mouths and eat and take to fix.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true, Diana. And I think, when I met you, this is such a great
I love our meeting story. That story is medicine to me. It is.
Oh my gosh, I feel that way too. I mean, it's like this amazing experience where, I was on a plane, and I was on my way back from Africa, and you were on your way from some healing work that I had, had the holy privilege of working with and in, and then and you were on your way back from, I believe you said Greece, right? Was it Greece?
I was on my way back from Greece. I had around the time we'd met, I was on a 2-year-long journey, a backpacking journey through Europe. I'd quit my job as a tech consultant. At that time, I was burning the wick at both ends, and felt completely lost in who I was and where I was at. And I had no idea where I was going, but something called me to take this journey. And during the time that I'd met you, I had wrapped up the last leg of my tour. I came from a 2-month long car caravanning trip from Germany, actually from Spain to Greece.
Wow.
I visited all of these countries and had all of these experiences in between, but it served me in exactly the ways it needed to serve me. But I felt like I was done wandering. I needed to come back home. Something called me. I remember too. We had reached the very, very end of our Greece trip, at the base of Mount Olympus.
Wow.
Me and my partner that I was traveling with at the time, I had found Wi-Fi at the base of Mount Olympus in this tiny cafe. And I was at a crux in my experience. It was either, if I stayed, I would stay. I would file the paperwork, maybe even get married to get the green card to stay in Greece, or I go back home and confront what it was I was running from.
Oh, wow, Diana.
And it was at that moment I remember with just hanging on to my last bar of Wi-Fi, I made the decision, right at the bottom of Mount Olympus, I need to go home. And I bought my plane ticket and picked the seat that happened to be the seat next to yours.
Right?
Right? Uh-huh.
And I remember telling you that, I had thought about shifting seats, and my intuition told me, you need to stay in the seat that's already been chosen for you. And that was just really clear. And I trusted that.
Mm-hmm.
That was just this, like, this really beautiful synchronistic moment. And like you said, I love how you said medicine, it was medicine, because I mean, we talked and we laughed and we cried and we listened. I cried with you. I listened to your story. I was so moved by your process and your journey, and and from that, the medicine of a friendship.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. That was the start of this healing journey for me. A new leg in my healing journey. It's been a beautiful friendship, and that was 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. We've been nourishing our friendship, right, ever since. Oh gosh, I so do love this story. It makes my heart jump every time.
Me too, my friend. Me too, my friend.
God.
Yeah, and so I mean, all the medicines, right? Like the medicine of intuition, the medicine of I have to put my phone down there because it does that zzz, and then you're like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm so distracted.
Away, right?
Yeah, I'm like, go on the floors as a.
Oh, I hear you.
I know, it's like I feel like there's a bumblebee in my mouth now, with all my zizzing. So healing, and that was what you were talking about. You were talking about your teaching, and about wholeness and wellness, and in those conversations, I just feel like, as you've landed here, it's been beautiful to watch this incredible expansion. And so I've been wondering, what is it that you have seen, especially over this time in COVID?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that you are one of my inspirations for for beginning medicine talks, right? Because I was like, oh, because my students, one of my students had said, oh, it's spring break, this thing is happening, and
Mhm.
and people are wondering, and they're freaking out, and they want to know what to do, and I was on spring break, and I wasn't teaching, and then I saw you were doing live feeds. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I could do that. I could just do a live little talk for my student. I could do a live talk, and maybe that will give people some kind of sense of, a little project or process or a little talk or a poem, but something that can kind of ground them in their healing and give them some medicine for this COVID time, and for all time, because we need medicine every day. But for you, my friend, and my beloved colleague, what are your thoughts about, what do you feel is um, most healing in this time, and what have you seen in your own life unfold for your own wholeness, healing, and well-being?
Absolutely. Well, I want to echo this phrase that I heard early on, at the beginning, the onset of this. Oh my gosh, almost a year ago. It's so catchy, so I can't take credit for it. It was actually one of my dance friends had made a post about this,
Wow.
uh, and it is, your community is your immunity.
Oh.
I absolutely love that. I mean, what from what I've seen in, what not even just seen, but even felt and experienced this year, especially, is just how important our community is, how how absolutely pivotal they are to our healing, our wellness. And
Mm.
I think, before we were so drastically cut from the cords of the people around us, from our community, from physically seeing people, our society, our world had this kind of like every man for himself when it comes to self-care, right? I mean, even if it's in the word itself, like self-care, taking care of yourself, your wellness is your own responsibility. It is, something that you need to do and feed into yourself. And that's absolutely one aspect of it, because um, you know uh, we've especially in our classes, we've done copious amounts of boundary work, and that is incredibly healthy. But
Mm.
we do this boundary work so that we can, maintain our, relationship with ourselves, and learn from that how to have healthy relationships with others. um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and this year I've especially been seeing the community being a pivotal part in our wellness, in our well-being.
Mm.
It's what inspired me to at the onset of this, and to take my classes online, uh, because
Oh, great. I was so inspired by you.
I didn't know that. I'm truly honored and flattered and touched. Like, that was, that's I wasn't guided by anything more than just needing to connect with people in the ways that I could, given the circumstances of the world.
Mm.
And it was lovely. We fostered a nice little community and came together to practice. This was, you know, purely an offering that I had for my community, and that really helped me, especially during the first month of our lockdown. Um, I had, people show up for me, and I showed up for people in ways I didn't expect, and that really, was like a band-aid to my heart. So
Mm.
yeah.
That is so good. One of the things I know that, like, settling into the body,
Mhm.
and, when we talk about, settling into the body, I don't know if there's anything like greater saffron is like all on all the things you need to read.
Sweet. I miss you. One day soon, Saffron.
I know she's
What
so
a
nice.
sweetheart. Good to see you.
There.
Hey, girl. Oh, girl.
Like, let me just sit in front of all your files, you know. Okay, we'll do
Of
that.
course.
But one of the things that I know that yoga is really powerful as a way to treat, and it treats trauma. And they're seeing, you know, a lot in research around body movement and how, you know, this training that you do and this beautiful work that you do. And I've participated in your meditations. I've had the honor of being in yoga classes with you, and I love how you do it. Like, you have a really different approach, Diana. And so I wanted to speak a little bit to, you know, that unique approach that you have. And I remember once you said, it's really important not to injure yourself when you're doing this thing that's supposed to be helping you, really is, I'm, you know, I don't know if this is not a direct quote, but very close.
Oh, yeah.
So just like, I wanted to speak a little bit about, you know, how can we not injure ourselves? We're doing these things that are supposed to be so healing for us, you know, and so I just wanted to place that in your that query, you know, in our conversation.
Well, thank you. Thank you for asking. Wow. And that's so true. I have said that before. And I've said it because you know, I've injured myself before in my yoga class. It comes from personal experience. I guess I can't really speak to this experience until I start at the very, very beginning of my yoga journey. So I came to yoga, oh my gosh, I'm 10 years ago now. Oh my God, it's 10 years. I came to right?
Double digits, baby.
Yeah. It's been such a prevalent part of my life. And, you know, 10 years ago, I was, oh my gosh, 20 years old, 1920, just an incredibly stressed out of touch with my body college student. And I remember wandering into, you know, my first yoga class, thinking, like, ooh, I don't know if this is for me. I don't have the yoga body, right? At that point in my life, I'd always been so hard on my body that I thought that being hard on my body meant I was being good to it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
It's that mentality, that sentiment is kind of etched into the fabric of our society, right? You're only good to yourself if you're going hard, if you are productive, if there is an end result from this. And the moment I stepped on the mat 10 years ago, that was my first taste of body medicine. I had an amazing first teacher who, you know, slowed me down, who taught me to breathe. At that point, I didn't know how to breathe. And, you know, where we go about our lives doing this activity that's so instinctual, yet we don't really think about how we breathe. And as simple as that, you know, it was as simple as that. Being on that mat taught me to slow down, to connect with my body, to actually notice what I was doing with my body, and to, for the first time, be kinder to it, not punish myself. And so, yeah, that was my first taste with yoga. And when I became a teacher later on, you know, yoga has been my longest relationship. Really, it's my relationship with yoga has been one of the longest and deepest ones, and it's transformed so many times. There was a point in my teaching career where the practice actually became toxic for me, because I had built up this belief, this idea that I needed to be a certain way in order to be an effective teacher.
Oh,
Yeah, I needed to be 10 pounds lighter. I needed to be able to,
oh,
memorize the sutras and speak it back to you. I needed to look it, I needed to sound like it, and I needed to convince others that I could teach them. And when I walked that path, it really took me away from yoga as a practice. I found myself just wanting to investing my energy in trying to convince others that I was a worthy teacher
oh,
rather than
oh, that's so
bodying
beautiful.
the practice. Yeah, it almost killed the practice for me. Um, Hence, one of the ways we can harm ourselves with, uh,
Ah,
yeah, one of the ways we can harm ourselves when we take ourselves out of the very essence of what the practice is. And it's been a it's been a long journey, and quite frankly, actually, this year, the beginning of this year, since COVID started, I reset, not just reset. I took a look. I took a look and took the opportunity to just reestablish my relationship with yoga. And once I did a few of the online classes for my students, and when the other studios picked up and started offering virtual classes, I stopped teaching yoga virtually completely, so that I could remember how to love yoga again.
wow.
Yeah, it was really hard. I remember my first practice that I had done for myself.
Mm,
It was just this year, just this past year. I was in my room with my notebook doing a very simple 10 sequence practice, and the entire time I was doing this practice, I had to say to myself, don't try to teach this, Diana. Just do it.
oh, yeah.
Right? I'd built up a just kind of like an instinctual habit. Every time I would practice yoga, I would stop and go, "Oh my God, that was amazing. How do I teach that? How do I share this with others? How do I?"
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't taking the medicine of yoga because I was just like immediately like throwing it out of my hands into someone else's.
Mhm.
So,
You weren't you weren't receiving the blessing of
mhm,
the work that you'd found, of this blessing you found.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow, Diana.
That was hard to overcome, because I so badly wanted to wanted to teach it. I so
Yeah.
badly wanted to share it, but I just knew in this time, I needed to heal. I needed this medicine right then and there. Um, and it has been a beautiful journey to this day. Like I feel that being able to receive as a teacher, receive the medicine from spirit
Mm.
before you teach it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I think that, one of the things that you said on your, I've read some of your writings and I keep up with you on Instagram, and you do your music, you make these beautiful videos, you share your own insights and learnings, but I loved you said you always have your breath to come back to
Oh,
ground you, to center you, and to bring you back to what matters. And I just loved that. And I was thinking about, like, wow, we always have that to come back to. and the healing power of, I think about the healing power of music, and I love your singing and your music, and your writing that you do, and the healing power that I experience through sharing those things with you. But also, um, there is also this racial equity work that you're doing, and one of the things that I love is that wisdom to build a system where where educators are able to dismantle the white supremacy that is embedded in the educational system, right? And so you're part of a collective at Seattle Central that is really focused on doing that at this time, and so I think about this healing power that is innate within you, and I was just wondering if is there some healing wisdom that you have for folks around this healing work that we're called to do together around healing this white supremacy and addressing it, like raising, like you said, raising awareness about what's happening. And so any wisdoms that you have around that healing? And I know breath, it is to center and to help you to come back and to ground you. And so I just wanted to bring in that little mix, and that big mix, huge, gigantic, oh my God mix. And yeah, and ask about any medicine ideas you might have.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for tying that all in so beautifully, because right, the approach, well, the work that I'm doing with this equity and practice group involves a big part of it, the self work, the mindfulness that we all must take and be aware of, especially in dismantling supremacy in our system, because it's embedded into our structure, right? In our educational structure, our work, and even in society. So with the work that I'm doing right now, it's a lot of it is based off of a book that you recommended to me. It was actually very life-changing, Shar. I so appreciate you recommending me My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaa Menakem. Yeah, taking a body-centered and mindfulness approach to recognizing our racial biases and using that to dismantle supremacy in the world around us. Because this is taking your own medicine, before we can go out and run into this world fully tackling on and throwing punches and fighting,
right?
We need to be able to address and confront our own racial biases, our own racial traumas, and everyone has them, especially in this country. Racial trauma, generational trauma, it lives within us, and it needs to be healed.
Yes.
Especially with the trauma work that I've been doing in my own life. I hate to say it this way, but you can't fully help anyone heal until you have addressed and confronted that within yourself. You've healed a good part of that within yourself. So with the work that we're doing in the equity and practice, it's a very mindfulness-based approach. We are learning to recognize when we start to close. It's a body-centered awareness where you recognize, when you start to shut down and close yourself off from doing the uncomfortable work of dismantling supremacy in our society, because it is uncomfortable and it's shameful, especially for white-bodied individuals that also suffer from the systems that supremacy has built. There needs to be shame resilience when doing this work. So yeah, our I'm incredibly passionate in helping us, or in putting these practices together to help us acknowledge and address and recognize where the biases and the traumas live within our body, so that we can work together to heal it. Because ultimately, this is how we must move forward in dismantling supremacy together with our community. Having spaces where we can talk without shame about, you know, about what it is needs to come to light.
Yeah. What it is that needs to come to light is a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For a very long time, we've been sweeping this under the rug. The country's been sweeping this under a rug, actively denying it. We can't deny it anymore. It's literally bleeding into the streets. So this work we must do is now, and there's a good chunk of it that requires patience, resilience, shame, and shame resilience. It's all uncomfortable, but we're here.
Well, my friend, I'm wondering, do you have any recommendations about how people might be able to stay open, when we want to close, or, when we want to be like, I don't want to do that. Like that, I don't, I want to watch this, Netflix. I'm not ready to binge on Netflix, or whatever. I mean, I don't binge. I've only seen one show ever my whole life on Netflix, or maybe I guess it's two now, but something like that.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, it's like how we can, so how can we stay open, with all of your wisdom and, background? Like, what are some suggestions that you would have around not shutting down during those times of discomfort? How can we stay, really open to one another and stay in the conversation? And, whether we're mixed race or not, or white bodied and mixed race or not, or, but whatever it is that we're being faced with, how would you recommend staying open?
Oh, beautiful question. Well, it's so funny. I'm quoting you, quoting me.
Oh my gosh.
Come back. You come back to your breath that grounds you. So closing and shutting down is a trauma response. That is exactly what one does when they are uncomfortable, when they feel shame. We want to sweep it under the rug. We want to distract and binge watch Netflix or do anything but have this conversation. But we need to have these conversations, because the space of discomfort is where we grow. And
discomfort is where we grow. That's fucking gorgeous.
You're so love you. I love you. So good. Yeah. Thank you. And it's and a way to do that is to ground and center, to recognize and remember, no, you are here, and this needs to happen. You need, without resisting anything that is arising. Acknowledge all that is arising in this present moment. And if you find yourself getting carried away by the emotional tides, or wanting to shut down, come to your breath, ground and recenter. There are incredible tools, meditation tools that I use whenever I feel like running away or distracting or shutting down, that involve me, counting my breaths. I'll do this breathing, and we can do one together. It's a grounding and centering practice that I really love when I feel like I need to shut down, but know that I need to be here. I'll just settle and calm myself with this simple box breathing technique. We can do that together. So, at the end of your next exhale, inhale slowly for a count of 4. 3, 2. Hold it at the top for 4, 3, 2. And exhale, extend the exhale for 4, 2, 1. Hold that empty space for another 4, 3, 2. And then you can begin again. And I will typically do 4 rounds of the 4 count breath as a way to just recenter, come back to my breath, come back to my space, and remind myself that I need to be here, as uncomfortable as it is. I need to be here and doing this work. So that's one tool that we can use to continue to stay open. And there are so many others that exist. And I want to throw out that recommendation again for that amazing book, My Grandmother's Hands, by Resmaa Menakem, for whoever's watching. It's an incredible tool that I've read cover to cover, back and forth, and still continue to go back to when I'm feeling like the work is just too heavy. This way of staying open and in the conversation is something that we have to manage within ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, Diana, what an honor and pleasure to have you with me. And
Yeah.
I have this quote from Maya Angelou, which is, music was my refuge. I could crawl into the space between the notes and curl back to loneliness. Wow. Isn't that, and so I think that, what you're saying about love and about community, and community is our immunity, which you quoting me, quoting you, quoting me, quoting me. It belongs to everyone. It's all
right.
From and for all of us, right? It's all the same. And but love, I think, is really where we're at. And just that ability to lean in is the practice of love itself. And there's this poem I have by Lang Leave, and it's from Love Looks Pretty on You, her book Love Looks Pretty on You. May I read it? Would it?
Yes, please. I want to hear it.
Yeah, this might be a nice way for us to close for tonight. And but love looks pretty on you, makes you soft, tender, proud, makes you sit up and take notice, gives you a home to set down your things. What a blessing it is to have music and dancing and poetry. What a gift it is to look at someone and say, I'm so happy to have found you at last, at last, at long, long last, you're here. At long, long last, you're here. It's from Lang Leave, Love Looks Pretty on You. And there's so much love in our lives, and we can make that healing journey, which is a lifelong one. And thank you so much for being with me today. And what a blessing to be with you. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. And I would love it if we could do this again. It would be so fun, because I know there's more we want to cover. So
this whole conversation was medicine, Shar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My honor to be on. Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.